Hey guys, for this video today, I will be sharing my thoughts now that not only have the Los Angeles Chargers decided to switch to wearing powder blue at home full time again for the first time in decades as a franchise, now that they're in Los Angeles instead of San Diego, but recently the Cleveland Browns have also decided to take an alternate uniform and make it their primary home uniform for this brand new 2019-2020 NFL season. So this is now the second consecutive year that at least one NFL team has swapped an alternate uniform with a home uniform and made the alternate as their home uniform. Last year, the Los Angeles Rams decided to not only make their throwback royal blue uniform as their primary home uniform, but they also immediately decided with the switch to immediately retire the navy blue jersey. And honestly, I have felt since the day that was announced that the Rams did the right thing, and I'm really hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that when the Rams move to their new stadium in the next year or so, that instead of some new heavily retro-inspired design, that they just switch back to the royal blue and gold uniforms full time and bring back the matching away jersey to go with the royal blue throwback jersey and uniform that they have thankfully been wearing full time since last season. And in my opinion, I hope that if they do that if they would just wear contrasting pants with their yellow alternate jersey, that to me would be a perfect alternate uniform if the Rams did actually do the right thing and go full-time retro. Go not only keep the home jersey, the throwback home jersey they've got now, but bring back the matching away jersey for that uniform and take the yellow or golden yellow color rush jersey, and instead of making it a one-piece lemon suit or all head-to-toe monochrome golden yellow, instead wear that uniform, but wear it with contrasting blue pants. And to me, that would be a perfect alternate uniform, and the Rams, in my opinion, would arguably have the best uniforms in the entire NFL. I don't know about you viewers out there, but I love the Rams throwback royal blue and gold jerseys. To me, they have a unique design, and I feel that they are absolutely gorgeous. Now on to what I will be talking about in this video here. I will be focusing specifically on the Browns a lot more than the Chargers, because there's some interesting things I do want to talk about regarding the Cleveland Browns. But also with the Chargers, I will be talking about them later on in the video, and in my opinion, for the time being, I mean, in terms of uniforms, I do think that switching to powder blue was the right decision, but I want to talk about the Chargers a little bit later on. Now, before I even jump into the Cleveland Browns and my thoughts on their decision, which I think was a very good decision to make their color rush uniform their new full-time home uniform this year, I want to quickly touch base on the Tennessee Titans, who coincidentally are in this photo. Now, they did make a small tweak for this season, and they've made their numbers a little bit bigger. I don't know if it's making the number font or the numbers a little bit thicker, or if it was making the numbers a little bit more elongated. It might have even been a bit of both, but I know that the Titans did decide to make their numbers a little bit bigger for this 2019-2020 NFL season, and that, in my opinion, if it does help with legibility, I'm all for it. And I know I never made a video to share my thoughts on the Titans' new uniforms, but if you really do want to know my opinion on the Titans' new uniforms, which who knows, maybe I will one day make a video about them, if I ever get caught up on everything else I've been trying to catch up on for the past 2 years. I will say this in the meantime. I think not Cleveland, but Tennessee made a monumental mistake. I think their uniforms are all incredibly mediocre. This new number font sucks. The whole uniform design sucks. The two-toned gray shoulder striping along the shoulders of all three jerseys, in my opinion, sucks. There's not a single redeeming element about their new uniforms to me whatsoever. I think they are all garbage. And I don't expect everyone to agree with me on this. And if you don't, I totally respect your opinion and I understand. But for me, these new Titans uniforms are just, in my opinion, crap. Just random Nike crap that the Titans designed to not only sell new jerseys, but in my opinion, so that they can turn around in 5 years and create something that's ultra boring and simple and just sell more jerseys 5 years down the line as soon as they can redesign their uniforms. To me, their new uniforms are uniform or football uniform mediocrity at its worst. They are terrible. And speaking of terrible uniforms, the Cleveland Browns have taken their only uniform that has any type of traditional look to it whatsoever, aka they're all monochrome brown and orange color rush uniform, and they've made it their primary home uniform for the season. Now, although this is certainly not a great uniform in any way, shape, or form, in my opinion, it is the only uniform that the Browns have left that has any type of traditional appeal to it, any type of traditional look. And I find it now that I look at this uniform and now that I've heard this announcement that the Browns did the right thing and made this their primary home uniform this season, in terms of what I was going to say, I now have found it really ironic that after basically, I believe it was after one season, after the Browns debuted their, in my biased opinion, absolute hideous garbage new uniforms that are, all three of them, in my opinion, are total abominations. I find it rather ironic now that I think about it that when it was time to design a color rush uniform, the Browns decided to create a really traditional uniform design that has monochrome orange on brown. And it's just, to me, it's really ironic that when it was time to create a color rush uniform, not only did the Browns elect to go with a modern yet traditional style uniform, but they also brought back the old Browns word mark. Interesting. So they went from 3 absolute garbage uniforms, and at one point even supposedly considered putting dog pound on the front as this oversized word mark instead of the Cleveland word mark that we actually ended up seeing on the final home, away, and alternate abominations that the Browns wear. And at one point they were considering putting the words dog spelt D-A-W-G and pound on the front instead. So thankfully, that is the one thing they got right with their new uniforms, is the fact that they did not put dog pound on the front of them. Jesus Christ, they would have taken 3 abominations and made them even more just hideous. I mean, how stupid would that have been? I mean, in my opinion, the Browns' former home and away uniforms were classics, and I feel very strongly that they should have left them alone. So, thankfully for this season, the Browns have taken a major step in the right direction by going back and deciding to wear their color rush uniforms as their full-time home uniforms this year, because they are the only trace of proper traditional uniform design that the Browns have left. And when I say that, I mean that as in the traditional proper design for the Cleveland Browns, because in my biased opinion, I feel very strongly that the Browns' old uniforms before this pathetic redesign back in, I believe, 2014 came out, I feel that those uniforms were perfect. All they needed to do, in my opinion, is, if anything, Maybe they could have made the striping on the sleeves maybe a little bit thinner if they wanted to, just for the new modern template where the sleeves are very short. But besides that, I feel that their uniforms were perfect the way they were. And, you know, if they wanted to wear orange pants once in a while for both their home and away uniforms, I think we can all agree that for maybe a game with their brown uniform and with their white uniform, or maybe 2 games a year for each brown and white jersey, that would have been fine. And you know what, besides that, and maybe an orange alternate jersey, because I have seen pictures of their old orange alternate and I thought it wasn't too bad. But besides that, I feel the Browns made a monumental error changing their uniforms at all. They should have never changed. Their uniforms, in my opinion, were some of the NFL's most classic uniforms and one of the most classic teams in terms of their uniform design. So although this all monochrome orange on brown uniform is not great, I think we can all agree that we would all rather see this being worn for the majority of the Browns' home games this year rather than this atrocity right here that I'm going to show you a picture of right now. This piece of collegiate Nike crap, and it even has orange seams in the stitching. I mean, this uniform is a joke. An absolute joke. It's just garbage. I can't believe that a team with some of the better uniforms in the NFL, using a color that nobody else has in brown, and creating a pair of simple classic uniforms decades ago. And I'm talking about the original Cleveland Browns. I know that the original Browns are now the Baltimore Ravens, unfortunately. And instead of expanding to Baltimore, it was a situation where the original Browns moved to Baltimore, as far as I can remember. And correct me if I am wrong. But then the NFL decided to add the Browns, bring back a Cleveland Browns team as an expansion team, and this is the team we have now. But look at this uniform. It's just crap. It's garbage. I will show you guys a full photo or shot of all 4 of their current uniforms. I mean, I know they did slightly alter the helmet design. I think they changed the shade of orange, if I'm not mistaken. But you know what? Look at that Color Rush uniform. It is the only uniform that the Browns have left that has a proper Cleveland Browns uniform design to it. Nice and traditional. Do I like just having a simple orange on brown uniform with 0 white? No, I do not. I think that was a major problem. But let me tell you, folks, I will take this monochrome brown uniform over the garbage they've been wearing since 2014. And if I'm wrong on that year, correct me, please, because I think I remember it correctly. But if I don't, please correct me. I would appreciate that. But I will take this Color Rush uniform over any of these 3 as the main home uniform any day of the week. And to me, the proper Browns home uniform should be brown. I mean, they're the only team that wears it, and that's something I really respect about Cleveland, is that they are the only team in the NFL with a brown jersey. So the fact they wear brown as their main color, I really enjoy that about the Cleveland Browns because it's something different. But anyway, speaking of something different, I'm now going to switch to different for all of the wrong goddamned reasons. Look at this. Cut off traditional pant striping for, a Browns word mark. Real great idea, Nike and Cleveland. Thanks. Thanks for giving us this pile of crap for the past 4 or 5 goddamned years. Actually, I think this uniform redesign started in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, now that I think about it, I think that's the year because they're planning on a redesign from what I'm hearing, thankfully, in 2020, which would mean that would be the 5-year window that a team has to wait for after creating Nike collegiate crap like this before they can go back to the drawing board because they've realized, oh shoot, not only did our fans not really care for this redesign, but they are right. These are pure garbage and we should have never changed them. So speaking of that, The good news about the Browns in terms of their uniforms is that they are rumored to be redesigning them for next year. But you know what my concern is, folks? The good news is that these are going to be gone at the end of this season. And with them using the Color Rush uniform as their full-time designated home uniform, that is definitely a sign that things are going to be improved in terms of the Browns uniforms, considering that the Color Rush uniform is actually a traditional uniform design, eh? So going back to a traditional design is a good start. But since it's Nike involved with this redesign and it's 2019, I'm concerned that when it comes to 2020, when it's time for the Browns to finally fix these atrocities, uniforms that they've had for the past 4 years now. I'm pretty sure it's 2015 that they brought these out, eh? But anyways, I'm not going to be surprised if the Browns go back to a more traditional look, and so they should. But what I'm concerned about is it's not going to be what they had before this train wreck of a redesign happened. Instead, I think it's just going to basically be the Color Rush uniform with a matching white version that is basically maybe a little bit of an orange outline on the numbers, possibly a drop shadow effect like what they've got now, and that's probably going to be the end of it. Or it may not even have any stripes on the sleeves at all, which would be really lame. And another thing too, what makes me concerned about the Browns is the Jacksonville Jaguars redesign that they brought out last year. And the thing is, with the Jaguars, when they redesigned their uniforms a year ago, they went from having these ultra-modern, absolute garbage uniforms, although their away jersey did look okay with the teal numbers. I mean, now they went to these ultra plain jerseys, and honestly, although I do agree with everyone that they are an improvement for sure, and that gold and matte black atrocity of a helmet design is thankfully gone like the dinosaurs too, the Jaguars' new uniforms are bland. I mean, they remind me of your average episode of Hell's Kitchen when, they're in the kitchen during service and it's time to make a risotto, and there's always Gordon Ramsay complaining about how bland they are when the contestants on the show make them most of the time. Every time I see the Jaguars' new uniforms, I think about that, because to me they are bland. Really bland. It's like they're basically to me they're like simple practice jerseys almost. And that's not a compliment. They are better. Their uniform sets are an upgrade. And the simple teal jersey does look pretty good compared to what they had before, eh? And that mustardy gold uniform, oh my God, it's like they had the players rolling around in a sewage treatment plant or something before they stepped out on the field in those things. That was an atrocious uniform. That attempt at a quote-unquote gold uniform. I mean, I love the idea of a gold jersey. I do, a metallic-y one, but not feces type of gold. Not the color of actual baby crap. I mean, the Nashville Predators in the National Hockey League tried that for a long time, and that uniform is just bad. And then you see the Jaguars do it for a Color Rush uniform. I mean, I said it years ago, and I'll say it again here real quick, but if they were going to do a gold uniform, they should have worn the same exact shade of gold as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers of the Canadian Football League used to wear for their former away uniform about 4 years ago. If they did a gold jersey with that hue of gold, that would have been nice. But no, they had to take baby poop mustard gold and wear that instead. And then now their uniforms are just too damn plain. So now when the Browns have their turn at thankfully fixing a Nike-made, Browns-approved atrocity of a redesign, well, I'm worried that they're going to just do something simple and stupid too. And then another 5 years down the road, maybe we'll tweak it a little bit more. And do it every 5 years as a cycle just to sell more merchandise. I hate that. To me, I feel like Nike and the NFL have got a formula. And it's not for the better. But anyways, you look at these three uniforms here. You got the cutoff pants. I mean, at least in the Canadian Football League, when Adidas had their contract for the past few years, the pant stripes went 3/4 of the way down, not being cut off halfway down for, a big special word mark. Woohoo! Great idea, Cleveland. Not. And then, you've got the brown and white on the sleeves. I mean, the orange jersey, if they would just take the word mark off, as an alternate jersey and with proper traditional pants without a word mark, it could be okay as an alternate jersey and, take the striping off the upper chest area and just leave it on the sleeves, hey? But, that could work as maybe a third jersey. But look at the brown jersey. It's actually got orange seams in it. I just, sorry for going on a huge tangent, but I just want to rip the Browns apart right now. Their uniforms are horrible. I'm giving them praise for doing the right thing, for going to the Color Rush as their full-time home uniform, eh? But I gotta give them a little bit of a rant here on their uniform. Look at that. I know this is just an artistic rendering of their current uniforms, but it's true. The seams are orange. Who approved this crap? At least their away jersey, they're the Cleveland Browns. Why do they have orange numbers on their white jersey? And this word mark halfway down. Jesus Christ. I just can't stop ranting about the Browns uniforms. I'm going to try and show you some more. Okay, I won't use the modern day social media-esque abbreviation for it, IRL. I'm going to just show you some real life photos of the Browns' current uniforms if I can. Hopefully I will find some good ones between now and Christmas. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is, okay, this is one I want to show you. Look at that, just that wonderful Browns word mark halfway down their pants. Just a real brilliant idea, eh? And the drop shadow numbers, I'm not a fan of it. Why did the Browns do this? They look like this is something I would expect some college team to do, not an NFL franchise. And as a lot of people probably know, unless I haven't said it, and if I haven't said it, I'll say it here. I really don't like the trend of these weird, wacky, ultra-modern to the power of 10 collegiate uniforms that we see in college uniforms, or in college football. It's just not good. But here, let's go back to before, when the Browns actually had traditional uniforms. Okay, maybe I won't use that one. Here. Okay. Where are you? Okay. That is a proper Cleveland Browns home uniform. To me, the striping and the entire uniform was perfect the way it was. And now, if they bring this back, they could bring it back with the new Nike Vapor collar rather than that Flywire Ziploc strap crap that they had before. At least Nike has fixed the NFL's collars. Hopefully that company that's been making the National Hockey League's jerseys for the past 2 years gets the memo. Hey, Adidas, I'm talking to you. Fix your Addy Zero collars. Thank you. But, you look at the sleeve striping. Could they maybe cut it back a little bit now that the sleeves are so damn small on modern day uniforms? I wouldn't be against that. I like this. I love this style of striping. It looks really good to me. But if they cut it back a little bit, would I be totally against it? As long as they go back to a traditional look, I would be okay with it. But look at this uniform. I know brown is not everybody's favorite color. Do I want everybody wearing brown? No. But you know what? Having a team or two here and there, like the Cleveland Browns and soon the San Diego Padres for the first time in 30 years, going back to brown. Having a few teams in brown I think is great. And I've always felt that the Cleveland Browns have been very good looking in terms of their uniforms until 2015. To me, this is a beautiful uniform. It is. And I know not everyone's going to agree with me. I agree with people that maybe now in the modern era of football uniforms, that maybe If they do go back to that design, maybe they could cut back the amount of stripes on the sleeves. I would not be totally against that if they did it, as long as it still kept that traditional, classic, beautiful Browns uniform appearance, not this new one. I would be okay with it. But seriously, Cleveland, I just don't understand. Why can't they just go back to their classic old uniforms? Hopefully that's what they're going to do. And I have to show you another photo. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm really in a venting type of mood regarding the Browns. Here's another photo. The Browns' old white jersey. Brown numbers. Brown and white and orange. Really nice. The only thing I don't like here is that the pants are just plain brown and have no stripes on the side. Even the socks. Classic traditional socks. I hope this sock striping makes a comeback in the not too distant future. It needs to, in my opinion. But you know what? Maybe instead of 2 sets of stripes, maybe they just have 1 on the sleeve. And this traditional design and actual stripes on their brown pants again. And maybe a little bit of orange trim around the numbers. I think that would actually be a good idea. Even though I like the simple brown numbers here, eh? But you know what? This is a nice, simple, traditional, elegant uniform and jersey. I love this look. As I say, I think it could be improved upon a little bit. But you know what? This is what they need to go back to. Their new collegiate stuff is absolutely atrocious. Atrocious. It's not bad. It's bloody atrocious. And it seems like, I don't know, but to me it seems like the Browns have made some real bad mistakes. I mean, here's another old photo of the Browns away uniform. I mean, look at that traditional, beautifully done jersey and uniform. The only thing I would fix is having brown socks to complement the rest of the uniform, or hell, even orange socks. But look, a nice, simple, traditional uniform. And they butcher it for this crap. This collegiate crap. Or collegiate abominations of uniforms that sadly we, as football fans have had to look at for the past 4 goddamn years. I mean, I just hope that this is the last. I hope that when they redesign these, because I know this is thankfully the last season for these, but when they redesign them, I hope it isn't something along the lines of this. I hope it's going back to what they had before with maybe a few little tweaks, and that's it. And then their uniforms to me would be perfect. If you want to do something modern for a third jersey, go right ahead. If you want to do something modern for a color rush uniform, which the color rush uniform program I think is basically dead now anyway. If they want to do something like that, fine. But don't screw up your home and away jerseys. Please go back to the drawing. Actually, just bring back what you had before. And if you want to make a few little tweaks to it, to those that's going to make them better, like maybe some contrasting trim around the numbers, I'm all for it. But besides that, leave them alone. Go back to what looked best. Your old uniforms. Jesus Christ. But anyways, I cannot say it enough, folks. The Cleveland Browns, in my opinion, did the right thing. At least they've got a relatively traditional design again. Is the color rush uniform great? By all means, in my opinion, no. I don't like the idea of a color on another color without any white. But you know what? I will sure as hell take this over that hideous brown uniform and jersey that they've had since 2015. My God, what a horrible jersey. That uniform set to me is a total abomination, and I don't expect everyone watching this to agree, but I'm sorry, I just cannot stand them whatsoever. And another thing too, at least this jersey has a word mark that is not a total bleeping eyesore. I mean, that massive Cleveland word mark, I mean, Jesus Christ. Who thought it was a good idea to stick Cleveland prominently here? In fact, at one point, as I said earlier, they almost put the words dog, spelt D-A-W-G, and pound on the front. Oh my God. I can hardly wait until they redesign their uniforms. I just hope that they go back to what they had before. But anyways, before this video turns into like an hour-long rant about the Cleveland Browns' current uniforms, I do want to touch base on the Los Angeles and sadly no longer the San Diego Chargers. So, for the first time in decades, this franchise has decided to wear powder blue or make their powder blue uniform their full-time home uniform again. So the Chargers, for the first time in a long, long time since I believe the 1970s, and if I am incorrect, please correct me on that because I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's the 70s. And about 40 plus years ago was the last time that the Chargers team, which was in San Diego until about a couple of years ago, have worn navy blue or royal blue at home ever since. And for as long as I've been an NFL fan, the Chargers have always worn navy blue as their main, and they've worn powder blue as the third. Now, I've heard Chris Berman for years saying that he really wanted the Chargers to go back to powder blue at home. I agreed with him instantaneously as soon as he said that, like 4 or 5 years ago when I was watching a game on, I can't remember if it was a Monday night game or if it was even possibly a Christmas Day game. Might have even been a Christmas Eve game. I can't remember. But anyways, my point is that I think that the Chargers have finally done something right since they moved from San Diego. I mean, I really would like to see the Chargers get rid of this modern number font at the bare minimum. I think they could improve their uniforms quite a bit. But I will say this. I mean, if they're going to wear powder blue at home full-time instead of navy blue, I think it's the right decision. But, no matter what the Chargers do now, I think most people will agree that they should have stayed in San Diego. And they should not have been joining the Rams in Inglewood once the new stadium is built. I mean, it's too bad that the Chargers could not find an agreement to build a stadium in San Diego. However, unfortunately, from what I've heard, Dean Spanos, their owner, wanted taxpayers to fork out a lot of money, from what I've heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, for a new stadium and in San Diego, and that's not the answer. I agree with people who say that taxpayer dollars should not be used to fund new stadiums for billionaires to play or to use for their multi-millionaire players. But as I say that, though, I really do feel horrible for the Chargers fan base in San Diego. I mean, now they've been playing for, I believe this is now the second or third year in a row. They're now playing in a stadium that's even smaller than some Canadian Football League team stadiums. There are teams in the CFL that play in bigger stadiums than the stadium in Carson, California that the Chargers are playing in now, where the Los Angeles Galaxy of Major League Soccer play in. And it's really sad that the Chargers left San Diego, and I can't say it enough. But you know what? In terms of uniform changes, I definitely believe that the Chargers did the right thing. Switching to powder blue is something they should have done decades ago. And you know what? Now that the Chargers are in Los Angeles now and will not be in San Diego, I mean, at least they've done one thing right. I mean, I would rather see them wearing powder blue full-time than navy blue, and I think we can all agree with that, eh? So, you know what? Switching to powder blue is definitely an improvement. I definitely have to say that I am happy that the Chargers have decided to embrace powder blue again, but you know what? I just wish that they could have stayed in San Diego. It's a shame that they left. But anyways, I'm glad that the Chargers did make this decision. I feel it was the right thing to do. And it's definitely better than being yet another team with a navy blue jersey. At least in my opinion. But anyways, you guys, after almost 35 minutes, where I spent a good chunk of it ranting about the Cleveland Browns because I felt it was totally deserved, and because the Browns' current brown, now alternate, white jersey and their orange jerseys are all pure garbage, and that the Color Rush uniform is the best of the set by a country mile, even though I don't think it's great. After I've spent a whole lot of time ranting on the Cleveland Browns, ranting a little bit about how I believe the Chargers should have stayed in San Diego and that their powder blue uniform should be their home uniform instead of the navy blue one, I think on this note, I will call it a wrap on this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. I know it's a bit long, but I just had to vent on the Browns. I've wanted to do it for a long time, and that's the truth. I mean, Jesus Christ, who takes some of the nicest uniforms in the entire NFL and trashes them for the abominations they're wearing now? I mean, Jesus Christ, what a stupid decision the Browns made 4 years ago. And they're the ones who approved that redesign, by the way. Nike creates the crap uniforms that we've seen a lot of teams switch to. And actually, ironically, as I say that, Seattle's redesign is one of my favorite Nike redesigns out of all of them. Because even though this uniform is not great, in my opinion, I mean, it definitely is, in my opinion, better than what it replaced. For something ultra modern and very college football looking, I do like it better than the metallic-y blue uniforms the Seahawks had during the 2000s. But anyways, you guys, I'd love to hear what you guys think about all of the stuff I've talked about in this video, if you've sat down and watched it all the way through. But what I will do on this note now is I will finally call it a wrap on this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And until my next video, of course, as always, you guys, take care. And of course, as usual, folks, bye for now. And I hope all of you have enjoyed this video. All right, guys, on that note, take care.